get set up here. So just bear with me. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. This is going to be a great episode today. I'm going to talk about what you should be looking for. What makes up a good website, like the nuts and bolts of it. We obviously do a lot of websites here. Let me just do this while we're waiting for everyone to get on for the chat today. I need to add us, share what we're doing so that everyone can find out about us. So just bear with me for a second, folks. Okay. Oh, just one sec. G'day everyone, Jimmy here, my online guy. Just bear with me, guys. Today, I'm super pumped to do today. This week is about websites. We obviously do a lot of websites here. We do sort of 30 to 40 a year here at My Online Guy. And we've learned a lot along the way. And what I want to share with everyone today is what actually makes up a good website. And, if I was a business owner, what the things I would be wanting on my site, and fundamentally, like theoretically, what a website should do for you. So just bear with me as I add this to our LinkedIn so that people can find out about us. In the meantime, please, as always, ask your questions. If you have questions specifically about what we're talking about here, I'll endeavor to answer them on stream. So I'm going to just do this hashtag websites. Okay, sorry guys. The fundamental problem with this way we do it is that there's no way of actually doing this part of it in real time. So just bear with me, folks. That should work. Let's do this. There we go. Cool. All right, we're in. So guys, how is everyone today? Hopefully everyone's had a great weekend. They're ready to go. Congratulations to all my friends in the Eastern States who are having a public holiday today. Great time to be watching while you've got some spare time for me. So websites. Obviously, it goes, I don't have to explain, hopefully, I don't really have to explain what a website is. So normally the way I'm doing this stuff is like the what. So like for SEO, what is SEO? But here I'm going to talk about what I feel makes a good website compared to a website that's not so good, and some of the observations I see when we build websites. So first off, I think one of the biggest things I see when I talk to clients, especially new clients that have maybe worked with someone in the past, is that their website acts as a glorified business card. And what I mean by that is that it's literally a place to have your name, address, and phone number, but it's not designed to be put to work. It doesn't have call to actions, or it's not like designed for SEO. It's not designed to be put to work and actually do something for you. The big takeaway from today that I want everyone to consider is that with the costs of building a website properly, it needs to be put to work. And whether that needs to act as a glorified a business development manager acting 24/7 for you and for your business, or it needs to act as an e-commerce. It needs to sell stuff for you. It needs to be put to work, or if it's there to generate leads for you, a website needs to be put to work. So how do we put a website to work? Basically, we need to create it in a way that's designed to take in action fundamentally. So again, like I said, a lot of websites I see, they're designed as glorified business cards. So you go on there and you just see the name, address, and phone number and a couple of words, and it's like handing out a business card to someone else. It's not making them take an action. It's not like putting them on a journey that gets them to a fundamental action, and that really does limit its ability to do something for your business. So I see a lot of glorified business card sites, and I think that's really what makes a good website versus something else. Cosmetics aside, that is the fundamental number one thing I see a lot of is just these glorified business cards. The second, I wonder to put it in the chat, guys. Would you like me to bring up some examples of good website designs, in my opinion, or would you just like me to talk theoretically about some of these designs? And you can put your stuff in the chat. It pops up on the right-hand side here, and I can see it. So let's talk about websites. I'm just going to start from the top and work my way down. So, like I said, glorified business cards. It's probably the thing I see the most. And it's probably the biggest difference between a company that knows what they're doing versus a company that doesn't. So a company that doesn't, or that is on the lower end of the pricing scale, or doesn't necessarily know what they're doing, will basically charge anywhere between $500 to $1,000. Pull a random template on the internet, no consideration to the structure of the site or how people will move through it. Piece it together, give it to you in 2 or 3 months when you're looking at doing SEO or something like that. It's any good SEO worth their salt will be probably highly suggesting that you change it. So like that's the first consideration I would make. I think actually think I'm going to bring up an example, and I'll use the latest one. I'll use Jim's website as an example because they had an extraordinary result from it. And I still think we can see the old website. So I can give you an example of what the old website to the new one and the considerations there. So hopefully Joel doesn't mind at Jim's me doing this. But again, this is all about learning, isn't it? So just bear with me. Let me just load this up for you guys. So you can see my screen there, and you can see Jim's. And I think might just zoom in for a sec. No, actually, I'll stay zoomed out. Example of bad website would be great. Yeah, I can do that. I can definitely do that. Let me just do this here. There we go. And I might just take away the overlay so we get full screen. There we go. Okay, guys. So this is the new Jim's Fencing website. I'm going to bring up the old one while we're talking as well, so that we can see an example of a good versus bad. And hopefully I don't step on anyone's toes from a design standpoint, but it really does make a difference. Let me close some of these windows down here for a sec. So let's look at the original website for a sec. So I'm using a tool called Wayback Machine here, which allows you to go back in time and actually look at websites, all the way back, to 2020 all the way to 2015. So I'm just going to look. I think it's not fair to go back on most websites to the 14s, 15s. You got to remember with websites that design philosophies change and also the technology changes. So I'm just going to go back to the previous iteration of the site, and we'll walk through Jim's and what they actually asked for and looked for. So this is the original website that was built, and you'll see what I mean by acting like a glorified business card. And I'm just going to zoom, check in and out just to see if there's any questions while I'm doing this. All right, so Jim's Fencing approached us about having a look at their website and designing it in a more SEO-friendly manner and a more conversion-centric manner. So glorified business card. So the first thing I'm looking at here is, what is this website trying to get me to do? And most websites are like this. This is a very good example of a website, or like the most websites on the internet, right? So, you could have swapped this out with Jim's Fencing for like Bob's Plumbing in Melville, and this is what most sites look like. So I'm here. Obviously got our call for a free quote. That's good. So obviously that's their primary call to action, is getting people to call the Jim's Fencing number. Got the slider here. Firstly, so like we're trying to determine the difference between a website that's designed to be put to work versus one that's not. So this is what I mean by a glorified business card. So we've got this. So someone lands on the homepage after typing in Jim's Fencing. They come to this part where we're not immediately sure what we're supposed to be doing here. We got this slider. So it depends on which slider you land on, that decides it. So you can see that they're trying to guide the person to the services, which is good. But if I land on this one, and I'm not a franchise owner, what do? It's not designed to guide you down one specific path, thinking about how a person would move. So like if I'm typing in Jim's Fencing, there's one or two things I'm trying to do. I'm either trying to find the number, or I'm trying to find if there's a local fencer in my area, or trying to find out, trying to buy a franchise, right? So anyway, we go down here and we've got experts in a wide range of fencing gates Australia-wide, and you've got the fencing styles, find a franchise, and benefits of a franchise. As you can see, it's really weighted to finding a franchise, which is fine, but I'm still not 100% sure what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you got all this text. You got this book online button. That's good. And then you got this reading more here, benefits, and got services here. So from a journey perspective, it's not really designed to convert traffic. It's designed to give information, which is fine. There's plenty of websites on the net that do that. But I'm going through this, going, where am I supposed to go? I've got this little book online button here, which is good. So I can book if I'm get to this point and I don't want to go to one of these three things. I can go here and book, and then the benefits. And then we've got our specific services. So like from an SEO perspective, a lot of people are going to be landing on these specific services. And so we'll just have a quick look at this while this is loading again. Hey, Charlie, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. So from an SEO perspective, people are going to land a lot of the time on these service pages. It's a common myth when it comes to websites. Everyone puts so much effort into the homepage, and unless you're Jim's Fencing or someone with a national level presence or drives a huge amount of traffic because of the brand work they do, Pentanet, Jim's Fencing, Coca-Cola, Wildcats, things like that, not many people are actually going to land on your homepage. Most people are actually going to land on a service when they're typing like PVC fencing Mandra. This is the page they actually land on, and I'll show you an example of that. If I go PVC fencing, say Mandra, you'll see that the pages it shows up are, it's the Jim's Fencing there. And then you can see PVC fencing, fencing, PVC fence, so PVC fence. Google is intelligent enough to know that if you're searching for PVC fencing, you don't want to see a homepage. You want to see a page that will help you make a decision when it comes to PVC fencing, and that's why these pages are designed to. That's why these pages, I would argue, are more important than the homepage. So you got here PVC. This is the most important part of the site. It's the first thing people see, and you got this little book now button. But you got to remember on a mobile. Oh, there we go. So it's got this information here, which is really good. But on a mobile, humans read left to right, or in English-speaking countries, you read left to right. So this actually needs to be either here or on this side. Being on the right is actually making it less from a priority perspective. But we got this content. So this is a good example of not being put to work. There we go. So if I just close this down for a sec, you can see here. So I'm reading this. Yep, read this, and I'm ready to book. I'm ready to book right now. I'm like, yep, I'm sold on Jim's. I either have to scroll up or scroll down. There's no call to actions, which is anything that's designed to for someone to take an action. So it's basically a glorified business card. It's not going to guide me to making a decision. It's just a whole bunch of content with the Jim's skin on it. Because like if I'm here, I'm ready to make a decision. I can't click here. I've got to go up to the top or go to the bottom. But even at the bottom, there's nothing to click on. So it's easy to get lost in this, and I can just read this and go, oh, there's too much information in here. I don't know. It's easier just to hit the back button and go back to the search and find a website that's got more call to actions and is guiding me to a decision. Now I want to show you. I want to compare this to the new site we built, and I'm not tooting my own horn here, but we spent a lot of time thinking about how people will move through this site. And make a decision. So you can see here at the top, first thing you see on this, so we're comparing it to this page here, the homepage. So homepage to homepage, you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3 call to actions immediately before anyone's ready to make, before three call to actions before anyone has to move. Compare that to this homepage where it's just this call to action here. Now, remember I was saying that the person that's coming to the Jim's Fencing homepage is going to go to either Jim's Fencing to book the service or want to become a franchisee. That's generally the two paths that people are taking. So you can see here, our primary call to action is the actual number, which is where booking. But if someone wants to be a franchisee, then they've got this section here. So let's say they get to this and they're not ready to make a decision yet. The first thing you can do is going to scroll to here. And it's like, why choose us? So if they're not ready to make a decision yet, the next thing they're probably thinking is like, they need to be swayed more to making a decision. So we're guiding them down a path. We're guiding their journey to a certain action. So you can see here why choose us. So like we have why they should choose us, and then they can learn more about us, and that goes to our about us section. So it's important to have internal links on your site going to the different parts of the website. So from a search perspective, Google can work out where to go for here. And I'll keep periodically checking in to see if there's any questions, but it doesn't appear to be any. Just I'll check in every couple of minutes if any of you have any questions. Okay, so I'm back here, and then so yeah, why? So you've got to remember, like, humans are a question and love questions and love answers to questions. So they may not be consciously asking why they should choose Jim's Fencing, but they are thinking it. So if they're not ready to make a decision here, they probably need to be sold on why using, like they want to learn more about us. So it goes to the why section. So why choose us? And we talk about some of our key features, benefits, and then this goes to our about us section. Then we have a big break here, like a call to action. So like if they missed this one here because they were focused on this call to action, we have a whole section. Ever wanted to be your own boss? There are many reasons to look into a Jim's Fencing franchise. That then goes to our become a franchisee page. So it like breaks up. It's a pattern break because this is here, and then it's like bang, this is right in your face, smiling people. And then if they're not wanting to find out more about us, they're probably looking for a specific service. So we link to our actual services. So these are all our different services. And then we have the full range here. Now, we also got this contact us today because we had an uneven amount of boxes. And then, we have another call to action here. So if they're overwhelmed with the choices, they can book an obligation-free quote, which is different to the number. So you can see here, we had the number, and then we have booking an obligation-free quote. So if someone doesn't want to contact us phone number, they've got another way of getting to contact us. So let's say they don't know the service, then they can try by styles. So you can see here, this is like guiding people on a journey, but it's also creating links to the other parts of the website, which is very important from an SEO perspective. And you can see the full range of styles, and then another break to capture those people that have read all this and then are actually curious about wanting to join Jim's, because Jim's has got a videography team. We're pretty video heavy on this site, but guide, and then another call to action, another section that just talks about Jim's. If they get to this point, then social proof, and then the news. But like I said, this is only designed to rank for when someone searches Jim's Fencing. If someone types in pool safety inspections Mandurah, pool safety inspections in search, but we want our Jim's Fencing page to show up because I'm localized here. Jim's, yeah. So that's the page there. So you can see it's still ranking. It's ranking for this Perth wide, but you can see this is the page that shows up for pool safety inspections, not the homepage, because it's not only, I think the aim of the game with websites, everyone cares too much. And I'm going to go back to the screen here. Everyone cares too much about what a website looks like. It's actually the least, in my opinion, it's one of the least important things. Yes, it's got to look pretty, but beauty is subjective. It does. Everyone's got different opinions on what something should look like. So you're never going to please everyone. What matters is conversion, is putting the website to task and getting it to actually take an action, whether that, like I said, is in this case generating inquiries, or you might have a website that's there to generate sales. It's got to be put to work. And so like the structure of the website and its ability to convert is more important than what it looks like. And I come across this a lot. That's the next thing, is like call to actions, which are those buttons on the site. You can never have too many on a website. I know people, we're talking to a client right now that's like, oh, there's a lot of buttons on the site. And I'm like, well, you do realize that having more than 3 call to actions on a website increases your conversion rate by 50%. Because, if I'm on this website and I get to here and I'm ready to make an action and I have to scroll up or down, there's a good chance that someone's going to go back, which I don't think I just showed that. Yeah, there's a good chance that someone's going to go back. So let's get back to Jim's Fencing here for a sec and look at the actual. So we designed this. We sat down and worked out what the services at its core Jim's offers. So fencing repairs is like the umbrella service, but what is that made of? Well, it's gate installations, it's housing estate fencing, it's insurance fencing. Those are the sub services, and each one of those acts like a little cluster of keywords that rank. But let's look at the pool safety inspections page. So let's say, for instance, I've typed in pool safety inspections Perth, and because you've got to get it done every 5 years or something. And we will be here somewhere. Let's find ourselves Jim's fencing. That's the page there, pool safety inspections Perth. And then we end up on this page. So you can see here, call to actions immediately, 3 call to actions straight away. So when if someone's ready, they just want the number, they can get us straight away. Something I miss you don't see a lot. This is the single most important real estate on the website. In less than 3 seconds, this part of the website has to, or in second, less than a second, 0.7 of a second. This part of the website needs to be able to explain exactly what this page is about. Because if you don't capture those people when they've just landed on the site, there's a good chance they're going to go back if they don't think so. Like the picture, the writing, this little section is really important, and then our buttons here. So everything of this website is designed to convert traffic into an action. So you can see here, is your pool fencing really safe? And then we have this, and then when they're ready, book an obligation-free quote. Then we want to capture people from franchising. And then why trust Jim's fencing for your pool fencing inspections? Another call to action. Clients frequently asked questions. Call to action. 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 So you can see there's several call to actions on this page. And that's so you can tell abundantly clear that it's a conversion-centric first website, and the graphics are just there to tie everything together. And from a ranking perspective, it's got a lot of content as well. Not everyone is going to read this. You got to remember that most people skim this stuff. It's really kind of there for Google, and it's got to read well, but it's really there for Google. Most people will just skim that. They'll see the bolded stuff, and then they'll just go to the book button or go up here, go basically book. So you can see that the whole website is designed around conversions. Conversion. So just for context, and I'll go back to here, just for context's sake, Jim's Fencing quadrupled the amount of inquiries they got after we rebuilt this website. It was almost an instantaneous overnight thing because they were getting lots of traffic as it was. They just weren't taking advantage of it. And this is why I'm always pushing that if you're looking at doing any marketing, you look at your website first, because there's no point in doing any other marketing if the website you're sending them to isn't, or the place you're sending the traffic to isn't designed to convert them. It's a fundamental core philosophy. And I won't generally take SEO clients on unless I can fundamentally change the website, because if I'm being held to those, if I'm being held to task to the amount of inquiries I'm getting for you, or the amount of volume we're getting, or what our key metrics are, then it needs to be done in a way that I can put my hand on my heart and go, well, we're doing all this SEO work. Well, at least it's going to a page that's going to get the best return from you because like I mentioned last week, SEO should be based around something tangible from a KPI perspective. So if it's lead inquiries, then website ties into that. Now, there was a lot of work behind the scenes in the structure perspective of Jim's to make it so that it could quadruple its inquiry rate, and a lot of that's got to do with the actual the way the website is designed, but also the structure and rejigging the structure, and then local landing pages as well. The ultimate end of that is quadrupling the amount of inquiries Jim's gets. That's why when you talk to a web designer, a good web designer that really knows web well, that's why they charge so much to do that. There's no denying that you could just get a template and whack it on the internet, and it's going to be better than 99% of websites. But if you want to have something that's designed that's conversion centric and is specifically designed to be put to work, then you have to pay someone to formulate how that works from a ideation standpoint, a structure standpoint, content standpoint, and a call to action perspective. All those things tie together to create a website that can be put to work. And I always tell my clients, you should frame this around the cost of hiring a BDM, because a good website that's designed really well with good marketing going to it is effectively like having a salesperson. It honestly is. That just works 24 hours a day. And a lot of people don't appreciate that when they go into building websites. They think the website's the afterthought, but you got to remember, most people under the age of 40 have grown up with computers and also the internet. And a lot of their decision making is done with computers and the internet. They're not going to look at your brochure and make a decision on whether to use you or not based on a brochure. A lot of them are going to come to your website and make judgments on your ability to do the work and ability as a business based on what that looks like, because that to them is the same as, you know, for a lot of digital natives, that's the same as walking into a shop and talking to a salesman. And a lot of this will happen behind the scenes. You won't even know. Like, that's why reviews are important. That's why, you know, the cosmetics and how you're portrayed on the internet is important, because a lot of these decisions are being made without you being aware as a business owner. And then you only get the inquiries of those people that are actually being through that process. So I would highly recommend every business owner thinks about their presence online, especially their home base, which is their website, and think about what it's actually designed to do, and with what it's designed to do, is it actually accurately portraying the work you do on the ground? Because I know a lot of businesses lose out on inquiries because they do all this good work in real life, and you know their local footy club and stuff knows them, but then their online presence is like 12 years old, and it doesn't accurately reflect the work that they do. And then they lose business to other websites and other business owners that have put an effort into consolidating their online presence and making sure it reflects what they do as in the real world. And that's the main reason to build a website, notwithstanding the cosmetics and the call to actions, everything. It just needs to be an accurate reflection on what you do on the ground, because I would struggle to see anyone not using the internet. You know, very few people are not using the internet now for their research and their diligence. You know, the amount of people that type in plumber Mandra to look for a plumber, as opposed to going to the yellow pages and flicking through the yellow pages, is, you know, exponential. I would say 95% of people use the internet to find what they're looking for. They don't use yellow pages and, you know, the classified ads and things like that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. A good website should be a value add to a business, not an afterthought. It should actually be the centerpiece of a good business, because a lot of people are making their decisions online now. And, you know, the big bulge of working class people are now in their 40s, 30s to 40s, and they've got money to spend. They're now using services. They now own houses, and now they're now becoming consumers. And those consumers are slowly shifting to the online world and making decisions on there. So, you know, you need a home base. I qualify this. Not all marketing needs a website, but the marketing that works really well needs a home base like a website, and then you build all your marketing off that. You know, Google ads generally go to your website and go to specific landing pages. Your Facebook ads should go to a website a lot of the time. Your Instagram ads, your any advertising, your social media, everything ties back to the website being like the flag in the ground. That is for a lot of people, that should be your shop front. That should be your service desk. But a lot of people treat their website as an afterthought and don't think about, because the reason for that, I think, is because a lot of business owners that have brick and mortar businesses, they, you know, if you've got a shop front and someone walks in and then turns around and walks out, that has a tangible, immediate effect on you because you see them doing that. But what people don't realize is the amount of people that come to a website and then don't even inquire, don't even see, and then the business owners doesn't even know how much business they're losing because they don't get to see that tangible, like someone walking in and walking out. But I assure you, there's a lot of people searching for what you do, or you specifically. I've seen your van on the road, and they type in, like, they're like, oh, actually, what was the name of that van? It's like Watson's, or My Online Guy. And then they go onto your website and they're like, oh, this guy doesn't look like he gives a shit. A, doesn't look like he gives a crap, or B, this isn't the kind of guy I want to work with. So that's why it's really important. And I can't stress that enough. All the other stuff falls into place, like your conversion elements and your call to actions and everything like that. Once you've got that mindset that this is a reflection of what you would do in brick and mortar 20 years ago. That's all digital marketing is. This is like a virtual storefront. This is like a virtual showroom. This is like a virtual service desk. And again, I always hold business owners to account for this, because, they'll spend $20,000 wrapping 10 vehicles because they're proud of what they do and they're proud of their brand. And then they'll spend $600 building a website that's not designed to convert traffic and isn't an accurate reflection of what they do on the ground. They just, sometimes the value propositions are skewed, considering how much physical volume of search there is and how many people are actually coming to the website that they're not aware of. People just, and you've got to get out of this mindset as a business owner that all because you don't do it doesn't mean that other people, that it shouldn't exist. So you may not go on Instagram much, or you may not go on websites much, or you may like picking up the phone, but you got to remember, you're not selling to yourself and you're not selling to other plumbers. Your demographic is not you. Generally, your demographic is someone else. So you need to put yourself in their shoes and goes, how do they get their information? And it's always my catch. It's always a way of catching our business owners that haven't given this much thought. And I'll use an tangible example of this. I was speaking to a business owner, and he was like, oh, Jimmy, I'm thinking of changing my name. I don't like my name, like the business name. And I was like, okay, cool. It's subjective, but I said, who cares whether you like it or not? I was honest. I was like, yeah, who cares whether you like your name or not? I said, no other, and I will try and beat anonymity here, but in his niche, he said, you're not trying to attract other people like yourself doing finance or whatever. You're not trying to attract those people. You're trying to attract your demographic. So who gives a crap whether you like it or not? Who gives a crap whether you like red or not? It's like whether the market responds to it or not. That's what matters. And I think business owners forget that. And a really, really good example of this, and from a holistic marketing perspective, is using a traditional customer journey. So let's say, for instance, I sell custom, I sell chartered flights, right? Now you would think that it makes sense to market that charter flight to executives, right? You would think that makes sense. But actually, when you actually think about who your demographic is, it actually needs to resonate with like executive assistants, HR people, managers, things like that, because they're the ones actually booking the flight and doing their diligence. If you're a C-level executive, you probably have an executive assistant, and they're the one that are actually making the decision or presenting the information. They're the ones that are booking their flights. So if you think about it like that, the value proposition changes a lot, because the executive, they're talking about comfort, and like luxury or whatever. But if you're talking to an account manager, like a executive assistant, you're probably talking about reliability, timeframes, guarantees, things like that, because they're at their core. If you think about core needs, so an executive's core need is to get to the place they're going to and probably do it comfortably, and money's not an issue for them. And an executive assistant, their core need is to make sure they get the best result possible for whoever they're working for, so they don't look bad or lose their job. So your website needs to give that person the confidence that it's going to do that. Does that make sense? I think it's a fundamental philosophy in marketing that people forget. It's the same. There's a lot of industries that are like that, where you see their marketing and it's targeted to the end user, but not the actual demographic that's going to make the decision. And I think everyone misses a trick there, because this is a really good use case for things like Instagram and stuff like that. So like, let's say we'll use that charter flight as an analogy. So they come to the website and they're like, okay, cool, got the information I need, tick, 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 tick those boxes. Now, if this person is like in their early 20s, like it's just like an entry-level job for them and they've just started in the industry, there's a good chance that they're using Instagram, they're using TikTok, they're using YouTube Shorts, they're using these new technologies that as a 35-year-old, I'm like, oh man, I can't keep up with TikTok or whatever. But they're using them as their search engine because they've grown up with them. So you may find that that person then looks at your website and then goes in from the website, their call to action is to actually go to Instagram, like Jim's Fencing. They might actually go to Instagram or Facebook to make their decision. So they go through the website to the platform they're familiar with, where they're comfortable, where they make all their decisions, and then go there and inquire through an Instagram. Or because you don't use Instagram, this is probably the key takeaway, or because let's say you're a 45-year-old guy and you don't use Instagram, doesn't mean that the end user who's making the decision doesn't. And a lot of people use other platforms as their search engine. So I'm big on Google. I use Google as my search engine, as most 30 to 40-year-old guys do. But, my wife is on Instagram all the time. She's looking at Instagram. She's using hashtags to make decisions. So she's looking for, a charter flight company. She might just look for that on Instagram, or look at a website, go to their Instagram, and then use photos to determine whether it's the right thing for their boss. So don't forget that, guys. And a website is a part of that holistically, but a good website versus a bad website, I suppose fundamentally, is a website that accurately reflects what you do on the ground from a work perspective. So there should be a seamless experience from real life to the website, in the scope of what a website can do. So what I mean by that is, like, if you see my online guy car or any of our brick and mortar advertising, and you go to our website, the experience is reasonably seamless because we are the same on our website as we are on the ground, and we put a lot of effort into that. So that's the main thing. Then call to actions. We've got to make sure that that website is being used as a tool for someone to make a decision, not just a glorified business card that they're going to pass away as a business card. You get a business card, you throw it in the corner, and then you look for it in the future. We want to guide people to make a decision so that when they're ready to make a decision, they know exactly the path they need to take to get to that. And that's really important. And we need to make it as seamless as possible. We need to give the brand a 360-degree view, so that if the person doesn't use the website or search as their main way of making a decision, they use Instagram. It doesn't matter where they look from a marketing perspective. Everything's in confluence. Everything looks the same, feels the same, has the same vibe. You do that right, you'll beat out 99% of the competition. And then you can use tools like things like SEO and Google Ads and Facebook ads and content to drive more people to that experience. But if you don't do the first bits, you'll never really get success with marketing, because it's just you're driving these people to an experience that doesn't. So you can make a really nice Facebook page with really awesome photos updated. They go to a website that's 12 years old. They're like, well, the experience I had on Facebook is different to the experience I'm getting on the website, which creates anxiety and angst, which causes people to bounce. So keep that in the back of your mind. Marketing's a holistic thing, and it doesn't matter what direction you look. Your experience should be seamless. And I know so many businesses out there do amazing work on the ground, just to be let down by when someone searches for them and they go to a website. The website just doesn't reflect that. And then if it does reflect that, it doesn't. It's not, the websites are not asking them to do anything. It's not going, oh, can you inquire today, or book an obligation free quote, or get your 10% off your next service. It's just like, we're Bob's Mechanics. This is our name, address, and phone number. Have a good day. You can't do that. Like in 2021 and going forward onwards, you can't do that, because there's guys like myself and plenty of people out there that are building websites that are better reflections of the business they're working with, and that will end up, just if you put those two websites up in a search result, which one's going to win. And so there's something to think about. But guys, If anyone asks you questions, I've got a couple more minutes. Ask you questions and I'll answer them. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about some of the best practices of websites, some of the do's and don'ts, sliders, for instance, just in my opinion. And then we'll start to talk about some KPIs and maybe the workflow of a good website. And then we'll talk about, I'll try and get someone on for a nice interview and we can talk about what businesses should look for when it comes to looking for someone to build their website. So guys, hopefully you get a chance to watch this. Hopefully you got some value out of it. So the key takeaways is, your website really has to be a reflection of what you do on the ground. Otherwise it's a waste of money. And you really need to put the website to work and get people to do something. Otherwise you'll never get a return on the investment. So thanks once again, guys. If you've got any questions, please let me know. As always, I will be on tomorrow around the same time. You can feel free to ask me then. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.